I might have started just a little bit early here. How's everyone doing? Okay, so... Hi! How you doing, Ella? I was trying to program this to go for 1 o'clock, but it looks like we started just a little bit early. Hi, Charlie. Cease to resist. Hi there. And we got Brandon, Danny's here, Cody S. Hey, sorry we started so late here today. Basically, we had an issue at the shop and I had to go in there. So if Lola, if you're watching, big shout out to you. Thank you so much for covering so we could do this live chat. That's why we're starting here so late. I hope everyone's having a great day. I do promise I have more content coming. It's just this last week we had the big Association of Professional Piercers Conference. It's pretty crazy busy week, but I got more stuff coming out, all kinds of fun reviews. I have not introduced myself yet. My name is Scott Wilkinson. Excuse me. I'm a professional piercer and I've been piercing since about 1994. And on this channel, we're just going to go ahead and answer as many of these piercing questions as we can possibly get through. For those of you who missed the last live chat, just so you're aware, Jared and I have gone separate ways. He had his own stuff he had to do and I wanted to continue on with this. So now it's just me. So if things seem kind of weird or a little different, it's because I'm learning as I go how to do these live streams. And speaking of, I hope everything sounds good and hope everyone's having a good week. So that's starting off. Let's take a sip of some coffee. I mean, like I said, I was going to start this at 1 o'clock and it happened earlier than we were anticipating. But I'm okay with that. So welcome everyone in. Again, my name's Scott. I'm a professional piercer. Look like Monica Peterson's here. Hello, how are you doing? Moody Goddess, what's up, Scott? How are you doing today? Looks like Svita's here. Ella. Lots. You know what? Moody Goddess, Dutch Brothers, yes, but I have it inside my little tumbler here. That way it keeps it cold throughout the whole show because I'm a slow coffee drinker, but I guarantee you there's some Dutch Brothers in there. All right. Any questions yet? No, I just kind of threw this at you real quick. I got to kind of figure out how to start these live chats. I pressed a couple buttons and I looked and I'm on the air, so here I am. Just so you guys a little heads up, last week was APP, the Association of Professional Piercers Conference. It's a conference for body piercers, and people from all over the world show up here to become better piercers, to look at the newest jewelry, the newest fads, fashions, whatever you might want to see and hear about. And it was an incredible thing. I took a full boat of classes, so I was learning from all these experienced professionals from all over the world, their different opinions, ideas, and what's new and fashionable. So it was pretty cool, but it's good to be back home. Well, it was here in Vegas, but I'm back here. So anyways, let's see. Let me see. Do we have any questions? Michael Williams, hello Scott, I love your show. I have a 4-gauge PA and would love to add an Apodravia. Can I get one while having a PA? No, generally you can have both. I believe they're called the Magic Cross if you get both the Apodravia and the Ampelang. Is that what you wanted to get, or did I read that wrong? Yeah, you have the 4-gauge PA. So you want to add an Apodravia? No, you can't really keep it with the Prince Albert. Generally, you keep that hole in the back is where the Apodravia comes out. So you just convert that 4-gauge PA into an Apodravia. I suppose you might be able to go more shallow with the Apodravia, but it's going to be a little bit, it could be uncomfortable because it's not going to be traditional positioning, and I'm not real familiar with that. That's a really good question. But generally, you just convert the PA, right to the Apodravia. All right, Neon Jakes. Hey, Scott, I was waiting. I got a juicy question for you. Have you heard of the Fox Fang question? Inward curved labret pierce. It's like angel fangs, but inward. Oh, okay. So yeah, things like this change all the times. We're talking about like the angel fangs, but instead of the beads being on the outside, they go on the inside. You use a little curved barbell, you use a disc on the inside. Back in the day, we used to call these inverted vertical lip piercings. It's just a matter of time before a name comes out for them. But yeah, I've heard of them. I didn't know that was the name. So thanks for keeping me up to date. Now, honestly, generally you need a good ridge to pierce to do something like one of these piercings. If it could be too straight and the tissue's soft. These are probably really high to rejecting. So you got to keep your eye on it. But otherwise, yeah, it looks like you just have some fangs coming out of the top of your lip. Pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to try to keep up with all of these piercings. Brianna Debs says, big fan. Big fan of you. Thanks for being here today. We appreciate it, and everyone's always welcome to our channel here. Moving on to, by the way, how is my sound right now? It sounds to me like I might be a little hot. If it seems too aggressive, let me know. I can turn it down or adjust it. Let me see. Question, the only professional piercer near me will not do a double conch. 2 piercings healing that close at the same time is very rare and won't work. What do you suggest, one at a time? I'd say both at the same time. I seriously don't understand why people won't do 2 in the same. Now, if you had 1 conch piercing and it's healing and you want to do the other one a month later, that area is already swollen. It's not going to probably heal at the same angle. So if you're getting a double, it needs to be done both at the same time. And that way you only deal with 1 healing process. It might be a smidgen longer and it might be a little bit more intense. But again, it's 1 healing process instead of the 2. So that's what my personal opinion is on that one. Get them both done. Hey, this is Chris Grogan. I'm going to remember to say everyone's names here, too. Hey, I'm at 137 piercings now. That's a lot. I'm going to send you some pictures, your email, as soon as I get all the good pictures. My dermals. I got the Big Dipper on my calf. Right on. So dermal anchors are those single point piercings where they're like, you see like a single gem. But with something like this, you can kind of create designs and patterns. And it sounds like they got the Big Dipper, you know, 1, 2, 3. Was that about 6 or 7 different dermal anchors to kind of create the shape of the Big Dipper, the stars in the sky. Pretty awesome. I'd love to see that. Definitely send it in. Linda says, hey Scott, I already have a helix, tragus, and a nostril. In August I want to get my snake bites. Is that pain level higher than the other ones? And what's with the industrial? What's with the, okay, helix, tragus, and nostril, and want to get snake bites? They're really not that bad. The thing is oral piercings swell a lot, so the week after is going to be kind of weird and awkward, but for the most part, they're really not going to be that bad. It's just keeping the swelling down. You're going to downsize in a month, but you're going to find that oral piercings heal way faster than cartilage ones do. All right, and moving on to Sammy4421. I had my septum stretched to a 6 gauge, but I had to let it shrink to a smaller size for a while. Now I'm wearing a 16 gauge clickers in it, but I would miss my 6 gauge septum. How hard it would be to stretch back up. Way easier than the first time. Generally, when a piercing's already been stretched up, the body's used to kind of having that stretched out, so it does go back quite a bit faster, but I just need to warn you, be careful that you don't rip or tear going too fast. If it hurts, you're doing damage. But generally, it's almost twice as fast. It's pretty cool to re-stretch something back out. All right, we're going to move on to Miss Katrine. Hi, Scott. Katrine from Denmark. Wow, welcome, Denmark. That's really cool. I just wanted to say that I really love your videos and hope you're having a lovely day. You know what? I am having a lovely day. It started off a little rough because one of my employees ended up calling out today. That's why I said Lola's covering for the shift, so I'm able to do this. But I woke up expecting to do live chat, looking so forward to this, and then I had to go into work. But like I said, Lola came in, worked for me, so I'm able to do this live chat for you. So it's going really good now. I got my Dutch Brothers coffee. I got all my friends here from all over the world. Cheers, everyone. I should drink it. I said cheers. All right. Chip Douglas. Hello, Scott. I was just wondering what the biggest gauge you will pierce a conch at your shop. Now, me personally, trying to figure that out, because I mean, when you do a piercing, you're making a crescent shape incision and you're pushing all that tissue off to the side, and it can get kind of intense. Mine were initially pierced at a 4 gauge and stretched to a 2, and I don't think I would ever do that to anyone. I fell over like 3 times the next day. My equilibrium was gone. It was really, really intense. But honestly, I might do 8 or maybe a 6 gauge. I'm not sure what Kelsey, my other piercer, would do. She might go up to the 4 gauge, but keep in mind, you're pushing a lot of dense tissue out of the way, and that makes for a real rough piercing. A lot of times you can start at like the 8 or the 6 gauge, and you can slowly stretch your way up, which might be more comfortable. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about that one. Moving on to Ursula's Odds and Sods. Hello, good to see you here again. How do piercers decide what to photograph for a portfolio and social media pages? Is it okay to ask if I can model my piercings, or is the piercer's invitation. Everyone does something different. I am probably the worst at this. I wish I could take a picture of every single person's piercing that I do a piercing of, but I just forget. I get so excited, I see their happiness, and we just kind of move on. So if it's something extremely rare, sometimes we freak out and we're like, oh, I gotta get a picture of this to show that I actually did one of these. But for the most part, most every piercing should be presentable for Instagram or social media, unless someone's like it was the 20th nostril I did today. I took 20 other nostril piercings. There's only so much you can do. I understand it feels great to have that picture taken of you, like showing off that new piercing, and I wish I could do it for everyone, but it's the piercer's prerogative. If you follow my social media page on Piercing Vegas, I'm the one in charge of the social media right now. Nothing's been posted in almost like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. It's been terrible. I'm really going to get on that soon. But yeah, so that's kind of what it's about. It's piercer's prerogative. Sometimes we'll take a picture, and if there's blood on there, and we don't have the time to really edit it out, we're not going to post something that's bloody. Or if we do a picture and the picture's crooked, you have a funny look on your face, we might not present that. So we want to make take the best looking pictures. But in general, it's piercer's prerogative. So great question. And Charlie, nope, I jumped ahead. Things jumped here. I got to back up here. Here we go. Yep, it was Charlie. Do you have any recommendations for cheaper basic titanium jewelry? Trying to convince my boss to have titanium as an option. Now, personally, I love Invictus. Invictus is my core main piece of jewelry that I use in my shop. I do carry the other brands if they don't have certain sizes or things like that. But for the most part, these things are ASTM F136 titanium, so it's going to be really, really high grade metal. Invictus might not have as much of a polish on there, but I believe my opinion, it's good enough for initial piercings. The thing is, it's going to be more affordable for you. It's high enough quality where piercings are going to heal. I've been using it for years and I've never had any issues. So that's the line I would go with. Some of these other big name brands really put a hefty price on there and you have to jack your price up, which scares away customers. So you're absolutely right. You still need to stay within the price range of your customers and kind of balance things out, figure out what works best for you. For me, I love Invictus. If you're going to order them, tell them Scott sent you. All right, and moving on to Jennifer Hill. Hi, Scott. Sounds okay. I'm super glad to hear that because to me, I'm still not used to wearing these earphones. I don't know if you can see them or not. I have these in, but everything sounds echoey to me, and I'm so used to just talking out loud. But now we don't have Jared here anymore. It's just going to be me, so I'm reading as I go, and I need to make sure that I sound good because normally Jared would be like, move closer to the microphone or, a little bit of instruction, which I did occasionally need. But, yeah, so that's the thing. Jennifer Hall, sounds good. Thank you. Are you still accepting emails on what should I get pierced? I have several in my ear. I don't know what to do on the face, eyes, nose, etc. More on the ears. Yes, I am. Keep sending them in. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to run that program and get it going faster because it was a 2-person program before. So in the next several weeks, I should have some of those coming back out. And once I get it on a regular basis and I figure all my electronics out, I'm going to start pumping these out on a regular basis again. So yeah, keep them coming in. It's just I'm really far behind. Okay. All right. Ella, do you know of any good pro piercers in Mississippi? It took me a year to find one that doesn't pierce, and then he's used butterfly backs, and most sucks when you can't find a good piercer. Off the top of my head, I do not know. Any of you guys in the chat from Mississippi that knows a good piercer in Mississippi, let us know. You can always go to the APP website, safepiercing.org, and I think there's a way you can track people or good piercers in your state. Now the thing is APP doesn't verify that they're good quality piercers. It just follows the same health and safety guidelines, which sounds like something you're looking for. I wish I could help you out. I don't know off the top of my head. Danny, sounds awesome. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And Brandon Morningstar. I forgot, but how painful on the panometer is the ampling? I've been considering it, but I already have an 8-gauge Prince Albert. It's quite a bit more than the Prince Albert. An ampling piercing is towards the top. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least painful piercing, 10 being the most painful, it's like a 10. it's up there. It's not going to really get much worse, but a good quality piercer is going to have good quality needles. It'll be done really, really fast. It's still about a second long piercing, but it's an awesome piercing. I love my Amplang piercing. All right. Hi from Arizona. I stretched my conch. This is Rachel, by the way. I stretched my conch from a 0 to a 00 after waiting 2+ years in between stretching. Now I have a big curly irritation. Big, ugly, not curly, irritation bump. Do those usually go away, or take a while to kind of settle down and go down? They can. Now the thing is if you went from a 0 to a 00 and you have a big bump, that bump is an irritation bump, and is because it's the pressure. So sometimes maybe you might want to look into a glass plug, like from Gorilla Glass, which is going to be in between the 0 and the 00. So you downsize just a little bit. It takes the pressure off those bumps. A lot of times they go away, and then you can re-stretch back up, and most of the time they don't come back. But sometimes you have to relieve a little bit of the pressure on there. The bump can also be from a flare on the piece of jewelry. If the flare is pressing up against your ear or sitting or poking in, that's why that bump is there. And then the other thing you can do is emu oil. Emu oil helps calm down upset piercings. So if you have the big flare, that emu oil, using, put a little dab on your finger, kind of rub it directly on there, and a lot of times you see a big difference within a couple days. But congratulations on getting to that 00. That's a lot of plug in a conch. All right, Bearded Claw X. I want my doth pierced, not migraine related. Good, because in my opinion, I don't think it really works for migraines. I wear AirPods most of the day. Should I reconsider? Reconsider wearing the AirPods? That's what I would do, because that piercing is pretty awesome. Now the thing is sometimes you can wear over the ear earphones, because doth piercings it's not going to really interfere with. You can get the one side done and wear an earphone in the one side until it's healed up. Now once you're healed up, generally you can find a way to wear those earphones, earbuds. I mean, I have my doths pierced, and I have these big earbuds in my ear right now, and it seems to be working. Pretty new to it, but it's not uncomfortable, and I haven't had any issues with my doth after I take these out and wear these for several hours out of the day. So that's my opinion. Get it pierced. Just don't wear it for a good 4 to 6 months, the earbuds, and once you're healed up, change it up. All right, for those of you just joining us, my name is Scott. I'm a professional piercer, and we're answering piercing questions if you haven't figured that out already. And if you haven't already, definitely hit that like. It spreads the word so other people can join in on our wonderful conversations here. And I really appreciate it if you hit that like. And if you haven't hit the subscribe so you can see all future content. Moving on to the next question. I lost my spot. Give me just a second here. There's. All right, so Brandon Morningstar, that's where we're at. I'm planning on doing a triple helix, not forward. Should I do all three at once? In my opinion, I would say yes. The reason being is to start the one healing process. It's going to be a little bit rougher, but as long as you're not really healing anything else, your body can still heal those 3 piercings at the same time. And cartilage sometimes takes up to a year to heal. And if you got 3 done in one sitting, it might be a year to maybe a year and a half before everything's completely back to normal. But imagine doing it one at a time, healing it for a year, cool. Healing another one for a year. So that's like 3+ years of healing. It's just get it all done at once. It's much, much easier. Hello from France. Hi, Flo. How are you doing today? Question is, should I wait for my cartilage piercing to heal completely before doing another one, or is it okay to do another one after 6 months, for example? Great question. You don't need to be fully healed to get another cartilage piercing right now. If it's right next to it, you just want to wait till that swelling's gone down and it's mostly comfortable. It's going to re-swell in that area, so it's going to get a little bit re-irritated, but it's not that big of a deal. The big thing is, if you do a piercing, let me pull out the ear here. Okay, so if you're doing a piercing on the outside rim of the ear, this area will puff up. And if you take a picture from the side, you're going to see how it gets fatter in the area pierced and then gets thinner. But the thing is we need them pierced at the same angles so they're matching each other. If you do one and then the swelling goes down, the angle sometimes changes, points down or points up. So that's why I just want the swelling down and it mostly healed, and then you should be fine. And if it's not even close to the same area, I don't like to have more than like 3 or 4 piercings healing at once. 5 max if like there may be earlobes. Good question. All right, MJ, Caribbean Caribbean parents, especially the old school generation, are against body modifications. 18 plus usually have to get their piercings they can hide. How would you go about addressing that issue in the year 2023? Now that is a fantastic question, because I've been piercing since 1994, and body piercing was one of the first things I actually got into because it was one of the first truly independent things I could do. I love my parents to death, and they were involved with every activity. They would always volunteer in school, this. And then once I started getting into piercing, they're like, if you're into piercing, that's all you. And I was like, this is awesome. Finally something all my own. So that's my first love of piercing. But having parents who were against it at first, it just takes a long time for them to understand you're still their child. You're still the same person, you just have more decorations. It's like me, instead of wearing a blue shirt, I wore a black shirt today. I'm still Scott. It's so hard to get things through because sometimes things are so etched and engraved inside someone's brain that it's a dangerous thing to do. But people from all over the world have been piercing since the beginning of time. It's not something new, it's just sometimes it's new to our generation. Now, if you're saying body modifications, like you want to get horns or like subdermal implants or something crazy like that, that's going to be a lot tougher to explain. Even American parents here who have piercings are still going to be a little bit, I don't know if I want my kid having horns or a metal mohawk or whatever it might be. But every parent and person is different. I wish I could say, just watch my channel. You're going to see how we're just normal people. We're all getting along. It's just a nice, happy community. It's just a different, more decorated community. I hope that helps. It kind of is a weird way to answer your question, but yeah, it's tough when they don't agree. All right. Tiny but mighty cookie. Cheers. Cheers to you too. That is a fantastic name. All cookies are mighty, in my opinion. It's just a harder form of cake, right? More cake. And Irene, hi from Spain. Love your videos. Thank you very much. Welcome in. We welcome people from all over the world, and yeah, so glad you're here. And John Bentley says, finally made it to a live. Amazing. Thanks, Scott, for all your info. Just want everything pierced. Keep up the amazing work, and thank you. I couldn't agree more. I want everything pierced, and I've had virtually everything pierced. It's just you can't wear jewelry all the time because there's not enough room. Now, if you look on the internet, sometimes you're going to see people with completely face full of piercings. I like the definition. I like to accent certain things. I don't want someone to say, I like your eyebrow and whatever else is next to it. I personally like the definition or that look. So, but thank you, and yeah, it's fun getting pierced. And thank you, Monica. Thank you for letting everyone know to hit that like button for Scott. I truly do appreciate it. Hit it for everyone. It spreads the word. It's so hard to find good information on piercings. That's why I'm doing this channel. And when you hit the like, more people can see this. And that's what we need to get out there. So not just do it for me, do it for everyone. All right, Andrew. Hi, thanks for watching. Hi, thanks to watching all your videos. I now have went the distance of getting my septum pierced. At a 14 gauge so far. Any advice for a septum limit? Septums are only so big. If you're talking about stretching, I had mine initially pierced at a 16 or a 14, and I had it stretched all the way up to a 0. Once I got to the 0, it was pressing up against the cartilage, so that made it really, really rough, and it never really got better for me. I know some people can get to the point where it almost breaks and it gets better again, but most people have a size where it's most comfortable. For me, it was 2 gauge. The reason I don't wear a 2 gauge anymore is because I have the septum plug or the nostril plugs, and they end up pushing out. It makes my nose look weirder than it already does. Yeah, so that's why I don't wear it anymore. As far as limit, number of piercings, depends on how big it is. I've done I think I've only done 2 piercings in a septum before, but you can always stack and add more jewelry if you want to. So cool. Ursula's Odds and Sods. I got my right rook done in December. Healing is going well, but is it too soon to get a flat on the same ear? Knowing the swelling nearby might make the rook's healing. You know what? if you're doing the flat, it's generally far enough away from the rook where it shouldn't really matter. If you can kind of take a little side profile pics with your camera, you can kind of look at them compared to both sides. But yeah, you should be totally fine. If it's that swollen all the way in still, that could be a problem, but I doubt it is. So you're totally fine. I bet you can get it done. All right, and chat. I'm getting way behind. I wish I could go faster. Okay, I lost my spot, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going through the chat right now, trying to figure out where we are. Tiny cookie. Sorry about that. All right. And Chris K. Hello, I just had my nipples done 2 days ago. What would be the minimum time before I can use a sauna? It's not communal in my own home. Okay, so a sauna is like basically a steam room. Not quite steam, it's more of a dry heat kind of a thing. My parents had a sauna, and I will say that you can probably use a sauna right away. I don't want you laying down, because saunas are generally wood, like a cedar, and you don't want those germs, the open things, to be touching anything, but steam in general should be totally fine. I will say this, that in a sauna, it gets pretty darn hot, and I know my nipple rings sometimes, you don't know how hot they are until it moves and it touches the skin on the side of it. So sometimes if you have a longer bar or bead and you move, it might feel like it's burning. It shouldn't burn you, but that was my only thing. It's like you move around like, ooh, that's hot, and you kind of feel weird. So, but yeah, I think saunas are fine. Savannah, when do the flare-ups and cartilage piercings stop? Oh, I wish right away. I really, really do. Flare-ups on piercings, a lot of times it's because it gets irritated. You can have a piercing for 10 years, and if you sleep on something hard enough and like contort it, or you put the wrong piece of jewelry in, it's gonna flare back up, but you gotta be calm and nice to your piercing. If you just change if your jewelry's too short or the wrong size, it's gonna cause a lot more flare-ups, so get the appropriate size jewelry. Generally, most cartilage piercings are healed between 6 months and about a year. So hopefully within that time, it should start getting better. As far as the aftercare goes, wound wash spray, just use a sterile saline. Don't spin or rotate it. Other than the doff piercing, hopefully you have a stud in there so it doesn't move around too much. And sometimes if the bar is too long, you might need to downsize to a shorter post, and that'll help. Hope that answers your questions. I know those flare-ups suck, don't they? They really, really do. Emily Sakuma. Hi, Scott. I have a 14-gauge curved bell. Wait, is a 14-gauge curved barbell all right for a labia piercing? It's personal preference. In my opinion, labia piercing should be done at a slightly larger gauge because the tissue's soft enough where it can kind of rip and tear if you get caught on something. Rip and tear is a scary word. I need to find a better way to say that. But anyways, if you've had it for a little while, you could stretch it up to a larger size really, really easy. If you pull down on that curved barbell a little bit, a lot of times you can see a little gap of light going through there. I'm assuming we're doing inner labias. If it's outer labias, I like to do a little bit thicker than that, like starting at least at a 12, sometimes even a 10 gauge. It's personal preference. It's whatever you like. If it's causing problems, go up to the bigger size. If you haven't got it pierced yet, I would suggest maybe going slightly bigger. All right, Jazz says, hello guys. What's up, Jazz? And Kayla, what can cause an 8-month-old healed nose piercing to get a bump? A towel. It's a pretty simple answer. Chances are when you're drying off a shower bath and it's just one like, oh, that hurt. That's all it takes for a bump to form. Now, it's not a pimple. Don't pop it. Don't pick at it. That can only make the bump bigger. If it's just a light thing and a little small bump, chances are it's going to go away really, really soon. Sometimes if you change to a ring too soon or the ring is too tight, that's going to cause a bump. But generally, that's what it is. If it seemed healed for a long, long time, it'll go back to normal before you know it. If you need to, emu oil can help calm down upset piercings. Let me take a sip of my Dutch Brothers. A little shout out to Dutch Brothers. All right. And Ruru, hello from Hungary. I hope I pronounced your name right. I probably didn't. But welcome in from Hungary. I don't remember anyone from Hungary before. That's really cool. No question, just came in to enjoy your live. Thank you very much. Keep on going. You're awesome. I appreciate that. I'm doing this all for you guys. I have a bunch more stuff coming up real soon. My newest stuff is going to be Amazon Aftercare Review. I went on Amazon the other day, maybe about a week or two ago, and I bought almost $300 worth of stupid stuff that I'm almost going to have to throw away. Kind of gives you a little sneak peek on how I'm going to be reacting to these things, but some of the stuff is stupid. Some stuff is really great, but most of it is pretty stupid. So stay tuned so you know what you should or shouldn't be putting on there. But if you didn't follow my channel, you probably already know. All right, Chris Grogan. Can dahlia piercings have leakage, and if so, will it ever stop? I love them so much, but I'm nervous about the risks involved. Okay, so now the most common thing or issue with leakage is generally for cheek piercings, which are going to be further back. Now, Elaine Angel told a story back in the day how she had her cheeks pierced, the salivary glands kind of migrated to that area, and she drools out of that area. I personally do dahlias because they're on the outside edge. That's almost like a lip piercing. If it was stretched out big enough, saliva could come through, but to be honest with you, the salivary glands aren't going to migrate to that area if it's the dahlias. And number two, I used to have my lips pierced. I got the hiccups. Every live chat, I get these. Anyways, I had my lips stretched to maybe a 6 gauge, I think, and I even put water in my mouth, and no, I'd push and I'd try. I wanted to squirt it out of there so bad. I was never able to do it. I've heard of some people being able to do that, but your piercings would have to be stretched pretty big to cause that kind of an issue, so should be totally fine. Sammy4421. Even though I've been at a 6 gauge in my septum before, it's still struggle going from an 8 to a 6. Would you recommend trying to find an in-between size to 7 to help? Kind of depends on what you're wearing. You could totally do that. Sometimes those in-between sizes really, really can help. But stack your jewelry. That's probably the easiest way to go about it. If you have like, what are you, 6 gauge in there or 8 gauge in there now? If you have like a smaller 16 gauge or a 14 gauge and you can fit that in there, it might be tight overnight, and I bet the next morning it'll fall right into place. Sometimes that little stacking on top of what you already have is the answer. Otherwise, if you can find the in-between size, that'll also help a ton. Jada, I wish you luck. As long as you found a good quality piercer, you're going to be just fine. Now, tongue piercings are scary because we've all bitten our tongue so hard, and that sucks. But honestly, it's not that painful. The worst part is just dealing with the swollen tongue for the week after. Yeah, you're going to be just fine. Congratulations. All right, Ryan. Hi, Scott. I had my helix for about 7 months, but took it out due to pain and healing complications. Now I have a bit of a scar tissue. Is that I'm massaging out. Can I re-pierce it? For sure. I generally like Mederma, which is a scar tissue remover. Massaging is going to break down scar tissue, but the Mederma can really help break it down much faster, get rid of the discoloration. The more normal you make your ear, the faster and better you're going to be able to get that next piercing to heal up. I highly recommend doing the stud, not the ring. And I'm really curious why you had problems with it, because generally after 7 months you should be mostly healed up. But if you're wearing helmets, if it's getting bumped or hit, hair product, if you're not doing the proper aftercare, they're all factors. So make sure you clean it properly and get that scar tissue gone. Minimize that scar tissue as much as you can. There's the right words for you. All right, skipping the coffee, moving on to some water. Okay, so Patrick Crab. If I get a tragus piercing, can I wear earbuds like at all, or is the anti-tragus better? Anti-tragus still could cause problems with certain earbuds because, as you can see, let me change camera angles here. As you can see, it's still pressing, it's wrong here. Still kind of pressing up against it. So if it presses up against it, no matter what piercing it is, it's going to cause problems. Once you're healed, you should be able to wear them like I am right now. I have a doth piercing and a tragus piercing, and these fit in and they don't cause any problems, but they're fully healed up. All right, back to that camera. Ooh, I'm switching camera views. All right, Turp-Eye Vision. Hey Scott, I got my angel bites done about 2 weeks ago, and they are insanely crusty. Will this stop soon? Probably. Generally, most oral piercings are going to get crusties for a month or two, and then they kind of minimize quite a bit. The more you keep the swelling down, the easier it's going to be, because the more it's swollen, the more pressure it puts on there, and the more crusties you're probably going to get. So ibuprofen, Aleve, or Advil to get the swelling down, and then in about 2 weeks, once you downsize to shorter posts, and they're sitting nice and flush in there, that should minimize movement, irritation, and crusty should minimize. Yeah, you'll be better real soon. Kayla, the video quality is absolutely amazing. Did you upgrade it all? How is the house hunting going? Okay. Thank you. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the video quality. I do have a new camera. Once Jared left, he took his special camera out. It's a Blackmagic 6K, and I have a Blackmagic 4K right now. It's a really, really good quality. And then my good friend Marlo came in here, who's a professional photographer. He had to help set everything up, rearrange the lights. I have a different light coming from this side of my face to kind of light things up differently. So that's what it is. And then I got a new soundboard thing here too. So that's why I was a little nervous about the sound earlier, but thank you. I really appreciate knowing that the quality is as good as it is. I really do try. And the house hunting, I kind of lost out on that. I kind of was going for too long to where my lease completely ended up. I gave my notice, and I just ended up having to rent another house. But so I'm renting a house, and now I'm getting a better idea of what I'm looking for in the future. So in about another year, I'm going to start the house hunting thing again. Or not a year, probably like 8 or 7 months. So, all right. Thank you very much, though. 2025 live. 20. I don't know how to say that. It's 2025 I've. I feel like it's 25. Anyways, I got to catch you live. I'm happy. I'm happy you're here too. I'm just unhappy I can't say your name. It looks like it's a simple thing to say, but I don't know how I would. 25 I've. Cool. Welcome in. Felicia Benedetti. Hi, Scott. I wonder if it's seen rude to ask if I get a piercing by a specific piercer at a pit. No, not at all. If you go in there, we all understand that this is a very personable thing. Sometimes certain women only want to get pierced by women because they're more comfortable. Sometimes people like, I've only been pierced by you, I want to get pierced by you. Some people watch a channel and it's like, I want to go to your shop, but I only want to get pierced by you. Requests are totally fine. Us piercers, anyone I've ever talked to has never ever been offended when someone requests someone else. It's your personal experience, it's who you're comfortable with, and we want you to have the best experience. I don't necessarily want to personally give you that best. I love being a part of it, but it's your experience and what you want. So ask for what you want and what you need. Very important. Good question. I wish more people said this, because sometimes you get in the room and it's like, oh, I've never had you before. I'm like, oh, do you want this person? And it's like, well, like, you're okay. But a lot of times I end up pushing them to that other person because you can tell you're just more comfortable. It's going to be a better experience. And like I said, that's what the best piercers want, is for you to have the best experience. All right, Ella, I just checked APP. There's none in Mississippi. I might need to become the first. You probably should. When I got pierced back in the day, I got pierced by a complete jerk, and I wish I could say other names and other words, but I'm going to keep it at that. And I was like, if that's what's out there doing piercings, I can do better, and I became the piercer I am today. So sometimes that's just a little inspiration. If you guys need one, fill that gap. It's great. I love being a piercer. It's tough getting that apprenticeship, and it's a little bit of work going into that, but that's kind of the situation. That's why I became a piercer. And again, if anyone knows of a piercer who's good quality in Mississippi, let us know in the chat. Ella needs to find a good quality piercer. I know they exist. It's just a matter of finding them. All right. And scrolling up, Cage Bradham. I am currently at an 8 gauge for my lobes, and I want to wear pinchers, but the friction always causes my ears to flare up. I tried some coconut oil. What are some permanent solutions to this? Okay, the thing is pinchers, is kind of like start at a point and go up thicker and then come back down and pinch again, so hence pinchers. If you're not wearing and it's constantly smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, you're going to upset your piercing. A lot of times once you get to larger sizes, the wearing surface is a little bit bigger. I take that back, it's reverse. If you're not wearing O-rings, that's what I'm going to suggest. If you put O-rings on there, it's going to minimize the movement, and I think that's probably going to minimize the irritation that you're having. Sometimes too much movement causes a problem, so yeah, the O-rings are probably the answer. Yeah. Next, Ashley Thompson, what do you think is the cutest piercing? A happy piercing. I don't personally have a favorite where it's like I'm so attracted to this piercing, or every person's different. Some people have a real small nose, and a nostril piercing can be super cute and totally flattering on them. Someone could have a real crooked nose, and just in that you don't want to draw attention to that. Then an eyebrow piercing might be better. If that piercing makes you feel more confident and better about yourself, that makes you cuter, and that makes it the cutest piercing. That's the best answer I can give. If it makes you feel better, that's the one I like. And you're going to feel better, and you're going to have a bigger smile and feel better about yourself. And it's going to just radiate more positivity. So that's my answer. Maria Ashley Hi. Anything that could help with reoccurring blood blisters on standard first lobe piercings? All right. So we don't hear a lot about blood blisters on piercings, but they do happen. Sometimes, okay, I can't back this up. I haven't talked to any medical professionals, but sometimes I feel like dirt, hair, debris gets inside your piercing. Your body kind of forms a cyst around it and slowly pushes it out. Now, when they look like blood blisters, a lot of times they pop 2, 3, or even 4 times before they completely quit. Because I believe that if it pops and the body has to re-encapsulate and form another blood blister to get it further out, further out, further out. So don't pop it. Just try to leave it be. Encourage it to do its own path. And a lot of times, like I said, they happen like 3 times before they completely go away. Just kind of baby it and keep the area clean. Ronnie K. Lawfulmacher. Can you wear earbuds with conches usually? Again, change angle. Turn this way. I do have a conch piercing over here. Yeah, you should. It really depends on the size and the shape of your ear. But as you can see, I have the hole where my conch is on the inside, and the earbud is not touching it at all. Generally, it's not a problem. Good question. All right. And Hot 8 Chocolate. I tried to get in touch with you on Instagram. I'm so sorry. I've been so bad at Instagram lately. I've got a lot of changes going on. So sorry about that. Felicia Benedetti. What experience? Oh, and by the way, Hot Chocolate, I'll go back to there and I'll see what it's all about. I'll check into it. Did you send it to Piercing with Scott, or was it with my Piercing Vegas one, or my personal one? I got too much stuff going on. Felicia Benedetti, what experience do you have with piercing people with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, and other autoimmune diseases? Okay, so this is a kind of a tough, touchy subject, because RA is more joints. It shouldn't really affect it too much. But if you've had RA a long time, and I know certain medications like prednisone and things like that can affect the healing process. I know it makes your skin a little thinner. Now, on the other hand, one of my best friends of all time, Benny, has his nipples double pierced, triple industrial that goes helix, rook to conch, a bunch of earlobe piercings. We did all his piercings before he was diagnosed with RA, and I have not pierced him since then. But he still does have all of his piercings, and his piercings really don't act up. And honestly, those piercings are like 15 to 20 years old now. So I don't know about getting pierced nowadays. I would say talk to your doctor and say, hey, I want to get a piercing. Piercings are open wounds for long periods of time. What complications will I be having? Do I need to do anything? Sometimes they'll put you on certain antibiotics to help boost the the healing process. Sometimes your doctor is going to say, no, this is a bad idea. Don't do it. So you have to talk to your doctor and be honest and kind of explain what you want, and they should be able to help you out. If someone came in and said, my doctor said it's okay, I get this, I want to get my labret pierced, I have RA, I'm like, cool, as long as your doctor said it's okay. But if you came in and said, I had rheumatoid arthritis, I want to get whatever pierced, I'm like, you should talk to your doctor. I don't know about all the medications. I'm not a medical professional. I'm a body piercer. And we care about you, we care about the piercing, and we want you to have a good experience. So communication between your doctor and your piercer. Fantastic question. All right. I have all these new sounds over here. Let's see if this... I was supposed to be clapping. I gotta learn. I gotta label those things. I think. There we go. Fantastic question. Adding sound effects is the first time I've ever done that on this channel. And Omen, oh boy, Haim, I think is Hom. Okay, I apologize for mispronouncing that. Most wholesome piercing expert. Love your content. Love you too. Thanks for being here. I'm just trying to spread the good word here, the positive, some good solid information on piercings. I love doing this too. All right, and oh boy, I just lost my spot. I scroll up once sometimes and they just disappear on me. There's a lot of comments. I'm way behind. Give me just a second. I'm gonna take a sip while I'm looking here. All right, I just found my spot. And Canton Pop. Hello from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome in. Love your videos. I have a doff done for like 3 months, but now there's like a little bump around it. I know it's kind of normal during the healing, but is there anything I can do? Yeah, sometimes piercings are going to get the bump, especially doff piercings, because you're so swollen. Try to get the swelling down. If the ring is too small, you might need to get a bigger ring. The general rule of thumb is you want to have about 2/3 of the ring showing, which is a majority of it, and only a little bit inside there. So if it seems like half the ring's inside, the bump won't go away until you put a bigger ring in there. Otherwise, emu oil can help calm down new piercings. If you're wearing earphones, earbuds, those will cause those bumps too. So yeah, clean it once a day with the wound wash spray. Generally, they go away on their own. But like I said, if it gets too swollen, the bumps get too big, you might need a bigger ring. Dahlia Arts, I have a bump on my 3-month industrial. Could it be time for a downsize? If you have a bunch sticking out of there, like if you can see extra bars sticking out, definitely downsize. That'll minimize the movement, and that should help get rid of the bump. Sometimes sleeping on it, catching a towel on it can be that irritation too. Emu oil, calm that thing down, get it feeling normal, looking normal. But yeah, if it's too long, downsize. I really don't know. Can a scoop piercing hit a vein? Yeah, most likely. Your tongue is basically 2 separate muscles here, okay? And when you look on the bottom of your tongue, you have 2 huge veins. They're not arteries, but they're pretty darn close. And those things kind of tree and branch off. Now, normally when we do a piercing, we're going right down the center, which is going to be in the connective tissue, not through the actual muscle. When you're scooping sideways to sideways, I can't see where those veins are, and yeah, you can totally hit a vein. I don't do scoop piercings. They generally reject out, they leave nasty scars, and you're connecting those 2 muscles which are meant to be more independent. So, scoop piercings, not a real good idea in my opinion for a safe piercing. And Gabriella, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. I apologize. Hi, Scott, regular viewer from Central Europe here. Awesome. Welcome in. I only have a couple of piercings so far, but I've learned so much from you. Thank you for all of that. Sorry, my first question is unrelated to piercings. Here we go. But it's been bugging me for to no end. Here goes. Are you and Davo of Body Piercing and Tattooing related in any way? Brothers, the same person in 2 different disguises. That is hilarious. No, we're not brothers. We're just older piercers who've gone gray from the same time frame and started piercing at the same time. So shout out to you, Davo. I love you, love your content. One of these days we're gonna have to do some sort of a collab and kind of do something together, because I think that'd be a lot of fun. No, we're not related, even though I grew up in Minnesota and he's in Iowa, so we were even close, but I've never even met the guy. He seems like a real good guy though, so I wonder who else has thought this. Yeah, bald guy, kind of, yeah, he's got the chops, not the full beard. I could see that. Maelstrom, big fan. You are really inspired my piercing curation journey. I have my septum pierced and considering two high nostril piercings. Are they an issue with glasses? Same question about higher ear piercings. I don't know. They can be. That's something you need to consider with the marking. When someone comes in with glasses and they want a bridge piercing or anything in that area, the high nostrils, I'll have them put the glasses on, have them like try to drop them. How far do they fall down? How high up do you push them? Are they ever going to touch your piercing? Because that'll piss off a piercing and cause massive bumps. If you can find the right placement, you should be totally fine. All right, so I haven't said it in a while. Hit the like. Hitting the like spreads the word across the algorithm so other people can find my channel. If you enjoy what you're seeing here, hit the like. I appreciate it. Other people appreciate it. And it really helps us out. And hit the subscribe too. We really appreciate that one as well. All right. And... oh. And also, second part of that, his surname is Wilkins. Yours is Wilkinson. You both look like you've been doing body piercing since '94. You look and sound extremely similar. I'm so confused. Sorry. That's so funny. That's right. His last name is Wilkins and mine is Wilkinson. I just have the S-O-N at the end. Yeah, I promise. No relation that I know about. That would be weird. All right. My long-lost twin brother. All right, Jedish, is nipple piercing good for breastfeeding? It's not good for it, but it's not necessarily bad either. Now, it can be, okay, let me retract and start over. Priority number one's always the baby. Always the baby. I'm a body piercer at heart. I love piercing, but when it comes to children, children come first before the piercing. Most cases, people will take their nipple piercing out, they're able to nurse, and sometimes you can put it back in right away. But the thing is when you're nursing, it's going to get irritated, and your nipple piercing is going to start getting more and more irritated as you take it in and out, which could cause pus and problems which you don't want to feed to the baby. Generally, for a situation like this, I say take the piercing out, you do your nursing, and once you're done entirely nursing after months or however long it might be, sometimes the piercing goes back in or you just get it re-pierced. Now, if you're going to try to take the jewelry out, nurse, and put it back in each time, you need to have your piercing for probably a minimum of 2 years before you start nursing. You need to be 100% healed. You want no chance of basically having any sort of infection or feeding the baby bad stuff. Now, the other concern is I've heard of people saying, oh, I can nurse with the jewelry and the baby's still able to latch around there. Those beads can come off. You don't want the baby eating the bead. That would be terrible. Terrible. So make sure the jewelry's out, and hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, generally most people take the piercings out because your nipples are going to get pretty raw from the nursing, and the jewelry's not going to be as comfortable. Put them back in when you're done nursing. All right. Mackenzie. I was trying to get way more difficult. Okay. Ugh, I wish I could send a super chat for all this great advice. Thanks. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, if you do super chats, if I see that, it definitely goes right to the top of the list. And Roxy K, hello from Poland. I love your videos. Welcome in. That's a long way from Las Vegas, where I'm from. I have one helix done and want another one right underneath it. Will I have to change my ring to stud when getting those two? If you're fully healed, sometimes you can heal it up with the ring as long as the ring's big enough. You're going to swell up, and the general rule of thumb is to have 2/3 of the ring showing, which is a little bit over half, and then a third inside. If the ring gets too tight, it's going to cause bumps and cause more problems. But you can heal it with the ring, yes. The existing one, get the new one with the stud. Got to reiterate and make sure I'm saying the right things here. Patient Zero. Hi, Scott. I have 1/2-inch 10-gauge circular barbell in my septum. Right on. I want to go to the same size in gold. What can I expect? Price and weight and potential problems. You're going to spend a lot of money. A lot of money. I can't even guess for you right now. Normal circular barbells in 16 gauge, like 3/8 is going to be $250, $300-ish roughly at my shop. So I would say 3 to 4 times that price. You're probably spending, I'm guessing, $800 to $1,000. It could be more. I've never quoted these things out, and they go by the weight of the gold. And once you start jumping up inside, that weight goes up real quick. My not these ones, but I do have some solid gold nose eyelets, and those are fairly thin, and that still cost me several $1,000s. It's crazy how expensive gold can jump up really, really quick. So it's going to be expensive. As far as the weight difference, huge difference. It's so much heavier, but honestly, I used to wear a 2-gauge steel ring in my septum, and I guarantee you that's probably not, yours wouldn't be as heavy as that, so you'd still be fine. I'm curious. I'm really curious how much that would be. All right. And Redneck Retro Gamer, been waiting to see another what piercing should I get? When are you going to make another one of those videos? Probably the next couple weeks. I lost my IT guy. Jared was gone and done his own thing, but he really helped me a lot with all that. I have all the equipment and I'm just trying to learn how to use it while also running a piercing studio at the same time. So it's a lot. Hopefully the next couple weeks I'll get them going again though. I am planning on it. Sophia, hi Scott, I have an 8-gauge I got 8-gauge piercings all by the same piercer. He left the studio he was in. I am working on my left ear and don't know what to do. Should I wait for him to reservice or find a new piercer? Yeah, artists move a lot. A lot of times they move to different states, maybe change careers. If it's a couple months and you really need that piercing, you might want to start looking for another piercer. We don't feel betrayed. I mean, piercers shouldn't feel betrayed. If you stop piercing, I know people still need piercings. I'm not going to get mad at people from going elsewhere. So you got to do what you got to do. If you maybe reach out, see if you can find them on Instagram, social media. Otherwise, I don't know. You might need to find another piercer. All right. And Maelstrom. Hi, I'm healing my Doth piercing with a seam ring. I know you aren't supposed to spin it, but if the seam tends to get on the inside of my ear, is that okay, or should the seam be on the outside, thus worth rotating? I personally don't ever suggest getting pierced with a seam ring, clickers, or anything like that, because you want to have a smooth surface on the inside of that area so it can heal. If you pull that seam to the inside, skin can close up on it and rip and tear that new tube of scar tissue called the fistula, which will cause bumps and major healing problems. Sometimes people even lose their piercings because of this. That seam needs to stay on the outside. So you will have to rotate it if it's on the inside. But do it after you clean it so you don't pull crusties through. Be gentle, be nice. Caroline Hewitt, hi Scott, hope you're having a great day. You know what? I'm having a really good day. I have all you guys here. I'm chatting with all my friends. I have to go back in and work a little later, but one of my other coworkers, Lola, is covering for me because I was supposed to work and I wasn't going to be able to do this. So she's in there covering for us so I can chat with you guys. Thanks, Lola. All right, and thank you, Caroline, for wishing me a great day, and I hope you're having a great day too. Caleb, hey Scott, would you recommend starting to become a piercer living in a place with no shops, no trainers? I've been freelancing so far, but want to take that next step to being more professional. Yeah, most cities require an apprenticeship for you to get a license, unless you're in an area where there is no licensing. To go to the next level, if you're doing this, I would highly recommend seeking out some more training, whether it's piercing education. I know Ryan Ouellette does some stuff. He does some online stuff. There's certain seminars like Fakir Intensives, which you can go to. The more education you get, the better you're going to be. But that education doesn't replace an apprenticeship. So you need to try, if you can find that apprenticeship, that's the golden thing. But try to keep continuing your education. You can't, as you know, everything on the internet is not true. And that's the problem. You need to find a trusty, reliable source. I would say the best bet is to check out Ryan Ouellette, Piercing Wizard podcast. And again, if you can find an apprenticeship, that's the way to go. All right. Tell us something. 3 years till your 30 anniversary and still doing piercings. Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? Going on 30 years of piercing. I don't even know how many thousands of piercings I've done, but it's a lot. Thank you very much. Taylor Williams. Hi, Scott. I had my septum pierced almost 2 months ago by the 8th. I was, scroll up. I wasn't told when I can switch it. I was wondering when I'm able to switch my septum to a clicker. Generally 6 to 8 weeks for these piercings to heal up. If you still have a lot of crusties, there's tenderness and soreness, I would wait longer, but 2 months would be the earliest I would even think about switching to the clicker. And Caroline Hewitt, thank you for all the videos. They have been very helpful and informative for me. I'm really glad to hear that. I try to get as much of this out there as possible. It's really frustrating when every piercer tells you something different. And 25. Cool. Now I know. I was like, oh, here's that name again. And LOL, 25. That's how we're saying your name. Thank you very much. I don't know what's wrong up here. Ace King. Why is my flat piercing so red? Well, if it's a fresh piercing and a newer piercing, it's going to get red because all those white blood cells, everything's rushing to that area to heal it. You're also going to notice a little tiny bit of heat out of that area. So piercings can get red. Some people definitely get more red than other people. If it's infected or you're having a problem, you need to do something about that. Hopefully you're using a wound wash spray, which is sterile saline solution, to keeping the crusties off your piercing. I don't know how long you've had it, but if you've had it more than a month or two and the bar's way too long, you're going to want to shorten that up so it doesn't move as much, because the movement could be causing the redness. If you wear earphones over the top that's pressing up against it, if your glasses are rubbing up against it, if you're sleeping on it every night, all of these things can be factors. So just clean it with the wound wash, don't put anything else on there, and downsize if you need to. Otherwise, if you have pus coming out of there, you think it's infected, you might need to see a medical professional. But I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing on that one. LR, hey Scott, is it normal for healed dots to continue to get grumpy and crusty? Mine's about 2 years old and it's still my problem child, but I love it so much. I get the same thing. I've had mine for probably like 15, 20 years. Once in a blue moon, it acts up out of nowhere. Emu oil is the answer. I use emu oil and it, like within a day or so, it's back to normal again. It does happen. I don't get it. Irene, I had the forward helix and middle helix done in August of 2022. Got some lumps, but they're fine now. When should I change the jewelry? You should be fine. If you don't have any crusties or bumps or irritations, go ahead and change the jewelry. You're good to go. And Finan, hi Scott, I love these streams. I got a question about a piercing bump. I got a healed high nostril piercing that won't stop getting bumps. I don't overclean or snag it either. Help. Sometimes it could be the angle. I don't know who did the piercing. If the gems are pointing really straight up and they pierced straight down, you're not going perpendicular to the tissue. You're going the long way, so you're healing a longer amount. And a lot of times when you do there's weak spots which cause those bumps. So if they're at too much of an angle, because the gems should be kind of perpendicular to your skin. You know, if you held like a toothpick up and you're trying to make that perfect T, if it's like this, that's a problem. If it's like that, that's correct. So that would be my guess. Hopefully the jewelry's not too long or too short. Hopefully you're doing the right aftercare, which is the wound wash. And then, like I said, emu oil can help upset bumps. Hot chocolate. And hello, I got an industrial done April 3rd. I love it, but it constantly flares up and gets infected. It also moves or slides down. What can I do? I'm getting ready to buy the Neomed cleansing spray. Constantly flares up and moves and slides down. So I'm guessing you probably need to downsize. It sounds like your bar is way too long. If you shouldn't really have hardly any bar sticking out of the front and back of your piercing. We give a little bit of room for swelling, but if it's moving like too much, that's causing the irritation. Get a shorter bar and that should solve your problems. Yeah, I don't know what else it could be. Also, have you heard of Bioflex jewelry for the tongue rings? I want one. I hate Bioflex. I'm not gonna lie. It's plastic / acrylic jewelry. Sometimes they're saying it's medical grade, but I don't know anyone who uses this for medical grade. The thing is the Bioflex, it's like you're gonna have like a labret and the gem presses in. You're eating, you're talking, and that jewelry is probably going to just kind of pull right out. Now the other thing is when you push the jewelry on the plastic, it kind of creates a trumpet shape on the top. So if you're wearing a 16 gauge, that trumpet almost sometimes makes it to a 14 gauge, which can rip and tear as it goes through. I've seen them cause a lot of problems. A lot of people like to use these for for oral piercings, like, oh, plastic's better for my gums and my teeth. It can still cause just as much problem. Having the appropriate size jewelry is the answer. And Eric Duploy, okay. Hi, Scott. Started watching your videos after getting my nostril pierced, but stayed for the amazing content. Thank you very much. You are awesome, and your content are always helping so many people. Keep up the great work. I'm doing my best. I love what I do, and it's going to keep coming at you, whether you like it or not. JC, I saw on Etsy some gauges plugs made out of resin. What is your opinion on wearing these resins? They're bad. It's pretty rare. I mean, some people have serious reactions to these things. Some people can wear really crazy like Play-Doh in their ear and never have any reactions. It's different for every person, but most of the time resins are going to cause problems. And we're going to see a lot more of that thing, more of the resins, because my mom does a lot of resin casting and working with like glasses, like tumblers and things like this, where you can put a resin and do all kinds of color. And she told me that there's resin molds for plugs, like for ears. And she's like, can I start making you jewelry? And it's like, I don't trust the resin. And she told me that there's a lot of food safe stuff, which could be okay, but I really don't know. So I would stay away from it. Generally, if you're using a resin type thing, a lot of times they're encased inside like a surgical steel or a titanium metal ring, and the resin's on the inside, or something else is wrapped around it. Now, if I had something like that, I would possibly buy one size smaller in the resin and maybe going with like the Chaos silicone plugs where you can put that on the inside. There's no guarantee it would fit, but a lot of times that it'll fit on the inside, and that way you have an encased silicone safe wearing surface on the outside. I hope that helps, but yeah, resin can be scary. And Jetish, what material is good for jewelry except for gold and silver? Silver, not necessarily a good thing for piercings. You might be thinking of surgical steel or titanium or niobium. Those are metals which are more acceptably safe. Surgical steel is questionable because there's going to be some nickel in there, but niobium and titanium are pure metals, and generally no one's allergic to those. Niobium is a softer metal. It's a little bit more gun gray instead of a silver, and it's soft enough where you can't really add threads to it, so you're not going to really find these in barbells. Only find them in captive bead rings or like seam rings. Now, if you're using titanium, you're going to find it in all different shapes and sizes. There's different grades of titanium. The one that I like is ASTM F136 titanium. You'll also see some stuff called commercially pure titanium, and there might be a couple other ones too, but ASTM F136 is what we like. Now, as far as other metals go, it can be kind of questionable. Like the problem with silver is silver introduced to the bloodstream creates something called silver salts, which is toxic to the body. And then silver also oxidizes, which means it's not going to have that luster and just kind of starts darker and darker and darker. And you might have seen people where they have like the black dots around their ears. That's because they wore silver jewelry and never polished their jewelry, and that oxidation kind of seeps in and tattoos the skin black. You would need to get tattoo removal to remove that. So silver is not necessarily safe for initial piercings. It can be worn as costume jewelry as long as it's kept polished up. That was a wordy answer. Good question. All right, and then the other thing too, I just want to talk about this is there's other things like other metals like copper and bronze and white brass and things like that. Some people can wear those no problem, but they're not going to be initial starting jewelry. They're more decorative, like the weights and things like that. There's one company I work with called Safe Products that also puts a clear ceramic coating over the top, I believe. So there's less chance of a reaction. Once in a while, some people are so sensitive, they just react anyways, but those are borderline. All right. And Kolepsk, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Hi, Scott. Absolutely adore your nostril jewelry. Thank you for inspiring me to become a piercer. Just started my new training. Greetings from Poland. Welcome in. Thank you very much. These are some new jewelry. Let's see if I can turn my head. Yeah, these are from Tawapa. These things are really big. I was going to order them a while ago on their catalog. There's the right button. But the thing is I wasn't sure if they were going to hang past my nostril. I just got back from a big piercing conference. Tuapa was out there. I got to look at the jewelry and I looked at it in person. I said, those are going to my nose. So now I have an extra set of gold plugs for my nose. I love these things. Thank you very, very much. All right, Turpai Vision. Hey Scott, sorry if you already answered. Got my angel bites done 2 weeks ago and they're so crusty. Yes, we did answer that one. In another couple weeks, you're gonna want to downsize to a shorter post and that'll minimize the movement. Also, lip piercings get a lot of crusties. Once you hit like the month or 2 months, you should be pretty much done with them though. Amy Ruiz. Hi Scott, can you name some of the rare piercings for me? I'm all about rare piercings and have plans for a conch-to-conch industrial. That's a rare one. Awesome. Snug, pretty uncommon, and an anti-traggot. You're on your way. Now, if you're looking for rare piercings, vertical bridge piercing if you have the anatomy, horizontal eyebrow piercings, a rhino piercing, which is through the tip of the nose. Extremely rare is a septral. That's where you have a septum piercing that's stretched to a large size, and then you pierce into the tip of the nose, so you only see a dot on the center of the nose. You're wearing a labret where the disc part is on the inside of the septum piercing. Lobrets. Now, I'm not talking just like normal, like a little bit lower. I'm talking all the way down the bottom where you use a vertical one. Barbell all the way down. I used to have 1.25 inch barbells. They kind of kept sinking in the bottom of my gums. It's not the best idea, but it's rare. Conch industrial. A lot of industrials that are custom bent can be kind of rare. Back in the day, the back of the nape used to be pretty common. Now I rarely ever do them. So nape piercings, they heal well for surface piercings, but pretty rare. Transverse lobes, side to side. I have no lobe left, but instead of going straight in, you go the long way through the lobe, if you have enough lobe to do that. It's so funny. I got to look at a picture of myself on the screen here in front of me. Like, what else is rare? Yeah, that's kind of where it comes down to. And a lot of it is, there's no piercing that's never really been done before. They've all been done. It's more about the combination of jewelry you wear. Just like this shirt. Other people wear this shirt. But they may not wear it with the same shorts I'm wearing, the same shoes I'm wearing, with the beard style. It's the big picture which kind of creates the image. But yeah, there are piercings which are more rare than others, and those are a few of them. Good, fun question. And I just lost my spot. I scroll and it's gone. Here it is. Okay. Karen Bryant. I noticed this morning that the back of my conch is covered with skin now. Help. I wish I could come over there and help you right now. Number one, you're going to want to keep the swelling down. Ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil, those are anti-inflammatories. And then cold things like just like ice water, just like soak in your ear to try to reduce that swelling. You are going to need to get a longer post in there, or at least one with a larger disc or bead size on the back. If it gets sucked in there, the skin can close up over the top. You need to get it out, and you need a longer one ASAP, so get that taken care of today. But yeah, right away, get the swelling down and try to find a piercer who's going to have something longer. I'm assuming it's a newer piercing. Hopefully you're just cleaning with the wound wash spray and not touching or playing with it. But yeah, sometimes they swell a lot and you just need a longer bar. Here we are. Okay. Talisum. I've had my lobes for about 2 years. I'm assuming pierced because everyone's had lobes since they were born. Smart ass. And I want to start stretching them, but I'm scared of something going bad. When I have problems, start stretching. If you're not slow and safe about it. Stretching ears is a super, super easy process. When you look at your earrings, some are slightly thicker, some are slightly thinner. And instead of going back and forth all the time, you only go to the thicker ones. When you put that thicker one in there, it might be a little tight when you first put it in there, but by the end of the day, you don't even know it's there. That's how you properly stretch. If you're ever to the point where it's like, oh, it hurts, but I'm almost there. Stop. You're doing damage. You're ripping and tearing, and that's going to cause more scarring on your ears. A proper stretch really shouldn't hurt. It'll just be tight for a couple hours or a day, and then back to normal. So no real concerns. And do it yourself. stretch the first several sizes by yourself. You don't need to go into a piercer to have it done. Just, put 2 earrings in 1 earring or something and just slowly work your way on up. Once you use the tapers, which are the metal pins, which start real thin and go up to the same thickness, some piercers just slam them through. If you haven't had training, this is just going to rip it. You might as well just shove it through yourself as rough as you can possibly be. Those tapers are tools and guides to go nice and slow. So that way you get towards the end and someone's like, I'm going to stop. Let it relax for a couple minutes. And if it still hurts, you're not ready for the stretch. But sometimes you let it just relax, and it's a nice gradual insertion of the jewelry. All right. And Emma Lafredo. Okay. Hi, Scott. I'm a big fan of your bite-sized information videos. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You're very welcome. And that's how I kind of attempted all of this. When I was looking at doing my piercing videos, every time I was trying to learn something online, I would always click on the shortest video possible because, like, you're going to watch the 3-minute video or you're going to watch the 40-minute one. And I'd always start with a 3-minute video, and hopefully I got that information. So when I was starting my channel, I was like, okay, I need to get to the point right away. No BS, just this, done. And that way I can watch full watch time, and you don't have to sit through me and be like, oh, I had my nostril pierced a while ago, and my experience this and this, and it's just like, get to the point. Thank you for noticing, and I think it's worked real well for all of us, actually. Abigail. Okay, you're talking dystopia, utopia, autumn. It was not painful. Good. I'm not sure what that was completely relating to. I can't remember. But anyways, I have a D. Hi, Scott. I'm stretching my septum tomorrow. What is your opinion on stretching septums? Generally, they're fairly easy. Sometimes they can get kind of tight, and once you irritate it a little bit, you're going to get crusties on there. And once you get a new septum piercing, the worst part is pulling crusties through. So be gentle and nice. Don't overstretch it. The next size should almost fall into place. Sometimes it doesn't even hurt. So congratulations. That'll be fun. And Johnny Casanova. Now I know why it took so long for my bridge to heal. The piercer used a long piece of jewelry and it slowed the process down. It was always getting caught on towels and clothes. Absolutely. You know what? We have to start long for the initial swelling because it does swell up. But generally within a month or so, you should kind of downsize to a shorter post. Sometimes it's a couple months. Sometimes you have to downsize a few times. But the less it moves, the less crusties get pulled inside and the less you're getting caught on things. You're absolutely right. Isn't it crazy when that light bulb goes off? Like, oh, I knew it. All right. And Turpi Vision. Okay, cool. I've been hiding the crust behind my mustache. Yeah, mustaches are good for that. You kind of hide all the crusties and you don't have to. Mustaches with piercings are pretty cool. I love Philtrums or Medusas with a mustache piercing with a nice big piece in the middle. Looks super epic. I'll probably get mine done someday. I also like Monroe piercings. Not as high up as I'm pointing here, but just on the top side of the mustache. Just kind of a mustache rider up there. Pretty sick, pretty sick. And try to catch up where I'm at. Turpi Vision, hiding across the mustache. For shaving with angel bites, it's best to go. Just wait till they're healed to remove the jewelry. Shaving around piercings is a pain in the butt. I've dealt with it before. I used to have my labret pierced, and I've always had something right here. You can kind of get close, but you're not going to get directly in there. I talked to one of my counter people. She also does waxing and things like that, hair removal. And she's like, the best thing you can do with that is probably just like shave as close as you can and get a tiny little scissors and just kind of trim, and you're going to get close. You're going to have a bead or something on the outside, which should cover most of that, but it's a little bit more maintenance, and that's the only way I know about going about that. If you take it out, sometimes when you do a shaving, I know, like, I'll kind of stretch my skin out to actually do the shaving, and sometimes you can push that fistula so it's going to raise up a little bit, and I've actually nicked mine a couple times. So you got to be careful. and be gentle when you first start doing it. But yeah, sometimes you need to wait till it's all the way healed to pull it out and kind of get in that close. Otherwise, trim it with the little clippers or little scissors. All right. Kayaz. Dahlia bites. Scoops are rare. Scoops are rare. I don't even do them, but that's for safety reasons. And they used to be a lot more popular, but not as much. Dahlias are pretty awesome, and I don't do a ton of those. I did some the other day. It turned out just beautiful. But yeah, dahlias are pretty rare too. And Moody Goddess 1982, would you care to share some pics of your old piercings with us sometimes? We'd love to see them. Yeah, absolutely. I have a bunch of old, I'll do that on the next live chat. I'll get a bunch of stuff put together and show you some old pictures of me of when I started. I do have a Piercing with Scott Instagram. I don't really upload to it anymore, but there's a bunch of old pictures on there. So go check that out and you'll probably see some stuff that you might be looking for. Dominican Princess. Hi, I wanted to get a tongue web, but I can't get any oral piercing since I have a small mouth and a web that's almost gone to the tip of my tongue. I was wondering, is it a good idea and does it cause problems? Tongue webs are super easy. We're talking about underneath the tongue, and generally when people come in, I try to have them do that semi-suction where the tongue is on the top of the mouth, because if you just hold your tongue up, you don't have as much of a web and you're not holding it still, and it's tougher to get a straight piercing. Sometimes when you put that tongue up, let's see if I can get it. You see how solid it is, and it just holds, and I'm able to actually do that. Sometimes you can't open your mouth as, I'm gonna switch camera views. Sometimes you can't open your mouth as much, but that actually creates the web. So if you can do that, you're totally fine. It's virtually painless, and it really doesn't cause any problems. The only issue, any oral piercing, is if you don't check the beads and the bead came unthreaded and you bit down on a metal bead, you'll chip your teeth. That's always a concern with any piercing. Otherwise, there's no other concerns beyond that. All right, and where are we at? Cool, we got plenty of time left. And burnt spaghetti. I don't know if I've ever had burnt spaghetti before. I've had overcooked noodles, and I don't know if I've ever had a sauce that had burnt on it. Anyways, great name. Is 14 and okay age to get an industrial piercing? I'd really love to get one, and I should be getting one next week. I'm just scared for the pain. In my opinion, 14's probably a little bit too young. Now, the reason I'm saying that, and every situation is different, there's probably 10-year-old kids who could get in probably the right situation. But when you're that young, you're way more active. It's going to be probably 6 months to a minimum, maybe even over a year to fully heal. And that's a lot of commitment to make at that age, because you need to clean it every single day. You're not going to be able to be involved with any sort of sports, things where you have to take it out. If you're wearing helmets, if things are hitting it, it's going to cause a lot of problems. A lot of times you're still growing, so that can kind of be put into perspective. It's just a rough one. So in my opinion, I like to do, if it was up to me, I would say 18 plus for industrials, but 16 is the youngest I will personally do. You might be responsible enough and you might have the right situation, then I'd say it's totally okay. But it's a commitment, and that's why it's generally for a little older. But nothing wrong with it. All right, Abigail Liebert. Hi, Scott. I just got my septum pierced about a week ago. Any tips on healing while doing martial arts? Don't get hit in the face. Can't tell me you didn't see that one coming. Now, if you got your septum pierced, hopefully you got pierced with a circular barbell where they adjusted it, because if you flip it up, it's not going to move around as much. When it doesn't move around, you're not going to pull any crusties in. But stay out of any combat for as much time as you can. And if you're ever going to be getting into any sort of combat in the martial arts where you're doing tournaments or things like that, I know they do make little tiny retainers made out of silicone, which are kind of squishy. That's what you'd want to wear. Because even if your jewelry is flipped up and it can't be seen, if you get bopped in the nose, that could do some damage to your septum, the inner tissue on the inside. It's just going to hurt too. So let me take a quick sip here. And I haven't said it for a while. Welcome in for all you newcomers here. My name's Scott. I'm a professional piercer. We're answering piercing questions, whether it's problems, stories, Want to hear more about my past history? So whatever is piercing related, we'll gladly talk about it. So if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Makes a big difference. And Irene, do you recommend silicone discs, healing discs to get rid of bumps? Thanks. Yes and no. First and foremost, bumps are there for a reason. They got irritated, they're pierced at a wrong angle, something. Get rid of the source of the problem, and generally the bumps go away on their own. Now, the thing is certain areas, like I had a girl come in the other day that had doth piercing, and she had bumps on there, and she wanted those silicone discs, but the doth rests so close up against the back of the conch that the disc would have cut into the conch, causing more problems. So it only works on flatter areas like the outer helix of your ear, the backside, sometimes nostril piercings, but it's going to be kind of an ugly look. Navel piercings can help, but there's not a whole lot where they're always going to help. Sometimes surface piercings, they can help too. So that's how I would kind of approach that. It doesn't work for every single piercing, but get rid of the source of the problem. It should start getting better. And if that doesn't help, then use those silicone discs, because they do have very good track record on getting rid of piercing or bumps on piercings where they actually sit properly. And Jetish, how much time does an earlobe piercing take to close? That is the question of the year. Earlobes are the ones where some people have them for 30 years and they'll never close up on you. Some people have them for 30 years and they take them out to change a jewelry and it can close almost immediately. So it's different for every single person. Earlobes are more likely to stay open once they're fully healed up because there's no pressure pushing on that tube of scar tissue. Like for a cartilage piercing, we make a crescent incision, push all that tissue out of the way, and when you take jewelry out, it naturally wants to go back to its natural form. Earlobes, there's not as much pressure. That's why they generally stay open. And Yepseshi, I have a tragus pierced and I want to change it out. I want a ring in it. Will a ring look dumb in it? I certainly hope not, because I wear rings in mine. I love rings in there. Generally, once you're healed up, the right size ring is going to kind of sit here, let me turn the camera here. Turn that way. I was grabbed the wrong ear because everything's backwards. See, I have a ring and it sits almost flat to my face. I think it works really, really well. They're not real great to heal with, but once you're healed up, it's not an issue at all. There we go, back to stereo. And the Underground EDC. Hello, Scott, what's up? I'm here doing the live chat, talking to all my friends around the world. Love it. I love it. How are you doing today? And Dominican Princess, thank you, I appreciate it. It's the last question. Would you recommend changing the curve bar to a straight bar? What piercing was that? I'm looking for more of the information for Dominican Princess. Oh, I just missed some question. Did I hit Dianus? I'll come right back to you. As far as changing from a curve to a straight, if you're talking about the tongue web, generally, there we go. Generally, we use a curved barbell. If you're using a straight barbell, it's tougher to get the beads on there. With a curve, you can kind of push it forward and the bead will come out and you can screw it in there. So curved barbell is going to work better. I don't remember what other piercings we're actually talking about. I'm sorry. But sometimes if you've had a piercing for a really long time and it's established with a curve, putting it straight in there is going to straighten out and it could upset it for a couple days. I wish I could remember. Sorry. All right, we're going to go back to Dianus, who sent in the super chat. Thank you so much. It's probably a long time ago. But anyways, the question is, hey, Scott, I got my Philtrum done about a month ago. I was doing well. What type of jewelry can I get for it when it's time to change? Well, first of all, you want to get a shorter piece of jewelry, something that's going to be nice and flush. And the awesome thing about a Philtrum is you can go big. You can get a huge disc. You can get like a 6 or 7 millimeter giant fancy ornate piece. You can get a small little gem. You can get a shape. Sometimes those little teardrop shapes that go sit on the front look fantastic. They twist a little bit, but when it's like pointing up top and you got the little teardrop in there, it fits beautifully. That's my favorite piece of jewelry. I have seen people put rings in there. Not very often. I've only seen 1 or 2 people in person where they're wearing a nice tight ring around there. It looked cool. Personally, I think that would drive me nuts. I feel like it would hit everything. But yeah, big jewelry, big jewelry. And thank you for the super chat. All right, now I need to find my spot again, and this is gonna take a second. Here we go. How was the APP conference? It was fantabulous. The APP conference, for those of you who don't know, I was gone last week, and for the Association of Professional Piercers, we have a conference here in Las Vegas. There's a bunch of classes. They have a jewelry expo where I found these new brands of jewelry, just all beautiful, beautiful pieces. And we get to handpick them out. People from all over the world. There's people from Australia, India, Mexico, Canada, United States, Brazil. I can't remember. Indonesia. I'm trying to remember all the people I met. There were so many. And thank you for coming up to me. For all the piercers that are here right now that went to APP and came up to me and either we took a picture or introduced yourself, I appreciate that so much. It was so cool to meet so many of you, and also the ones that came afterwards to get pierced by me. That was super, super fun. One of the ones we did was a 10-gauge bridge piercing. Turned out just sick. So yeah, the APP was great. I took a bunch of classes. A lot of them were repeats, but there was some good information. Yeah. APP is like my Disney World or Disneyland, whatever one you like. And Lisa Snarky, does having piercings long-term take a toll and minimize the immune system? Meaning even just the piercing is healed, is the body just consistently putting out energy fighting the foreign objects in it? Oh, where's the button I like? Is it this one here? There it is. There it is. Probably my favorite question of the day. The reason I'm saying this is I saw an article a while ago how body piercing and tattoos are making us stronger. I don't know if that's not the right word, but our immune systems are getting better because when things are at practice, we get better and better. We get more and more less susceptible to infections. Our immune system, it's like working out. You know, your muscles are only going to get bigger when you're working them. Your immune system's kind of the same thing. So having piercings is like constantly working out your immune system. Once you're fully healed, you've healed a tube of scar tissue called the fistula, which prevents those germs and bacteria from getting in there. So you don't need to fight off infections all the time because it's already, the damage is done. Your body's already done that. It put up this huge, basically new tube of skin. It's like armor protecting from all those germs. So that's why we don't get infected. If we get infected later, once we're fully healed, it's because there's a small rip or tear or something like that. But I wish I could remember what article that was, but it was saying that piercings and tattoos are making us stronger humans. So yeah, pretty rad. All right, Snuggy Doodles. Can you get a triple forward helix even if you don't have the ideal anatomy? You can. It's not necessarily the best idea, and I have ears to show you what I'm talking about. Now you can see here how the front of the ear has a good solid ridge. It goes in pretty far and has that ridge. So 1, 2, 3. Now when you're looking at an ear like this, you're going to see the 3 gems, and you're not going to see the disc on the inside because it's all the way inside there. Now, when we look at this ear, the forward part of the helix up here, there's a little bit of a ridge, but as you can see, the top part up here, the back is going to be sticking out, and when you're looking from the front, chances are you're going to see the backing on there. And then also the angle changes, so one piercing might be this, one might be this, and then one might be this. So it depends on the shape of your ear. Sometimes people are only optimized for 2 piercings, sometimes 1. I've seen it before where people can get 4. So it really depends on the ear. Sometimes you're not capable of getting any, because try to find the best example, probably this one. So when we look at this ear, you can see how the rook right here sometimes will be touching just like that. And then there's no room to put it. I'm looking at reverse inside my monitor, so everything's backwards and I keep going the wrong way. Eventually I'm going to get used to this. But yeah, you can see how this area is almost touching. There's just a little bit of room up top and maybe a little bit of room here on the bottom. But if it's opened up far enough, there's still plenty of room. I hope that answers your question. Triple forward helixes can be kind of tricky. They're tough to do to get the right angles, and then you have to have the right anatomy, and sometimes we have to kind of go slightly different angles to make it look right, but that's not what we want to do. Good question. Monica Peterson, Scott, may we know when your birthday is so we can wish you a happy birthday when the day comes. February 2nd. It's on Groundhog's Day. Yeah, it sucks having your birthday on a big national holiday like that because everyone forgets about it because they're all celebrating Groundhog's Day, but that's what it is. It's on Groundhog's Day, February 2. I'm just kidding. No one celebrates Groundhog's Day here in America. We have a little thing. I wonder, is that an international thing? You know, do other people in Europe, like, the whole premise is on February 2nd, when it's winter out, the groundhog peeps his head out of the ground, and if he sees his shadow, that means you get another so many weeks of winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, it means spring's on its way, or vice versa. It's one of those. Do you guys have that in other countries? Let me know. I'm really curious. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about by Groundhog's Day. And scrolling up, I show help. How do I find my signature look, like punk style, something boho, but I'm also into bling bling. At work, I wear a minimalist piercing or fun piercings. In short, I'm spending too much money. Me too. I constantly buying jewelry that just sits in cases, and I rarely use it. It's so hard finding a style. I don't know. I guess it's taken me almost 28 years to get to the point where it's like, this is the look I have. I've had this look for a while, but back in the day, I changed things up all the time. And that's the beauty behind piercings. Yeah, it costs money, but you can change up your look so quick. It does get expensive. I wish I could help you out more. But you know, the more you spend, the more options you're going to have for other varieties of jewelry. All right, and moving on to the next question. Okay, Dominican Princess talking to the tongue web from the straight to the curve. I think so. Yeah, that you want to keep the curve barbell. It's much more comfortable. And then Charlie Schaefer, any advice for stretching nostrils? Whew, it hurts. It hurts. Have your piercing in for a long time. When I first started stretching, I initially had mine pierced at 18 gauge, and I was wearing rings. And then I think I wore the ring long enough and big enough ring where the weight caused the 16 to go in, got to the 14, and then I took them out. And then what I did is I pierced them at a larger size. And once they were at the larger size, I had a friend working at a machine shop in between sizes. Now you can get in between sizes at like Gorilla Glass, a couple other companies. But yeah, those odd sizes really make nostril stretching much easier. But it's painful. There's a reason you don't see a lot of it. All right, and Jedish, where do you find good jewelry from? Like, suggest your favorite store or website. I wish I could. You should really buy from piercers if you can. We like using higher quality jewelry. You're going to get the right size, the right shape, and you're not going to buy stuff that doesn't work for you. One of the biggest issues I find with online stuff is people can return jewelry. So if they're returning jewelry, are they selling you used jewelry where it's been in someone else's body? It's kind of gross when you think about that. So that's my only big disclaimer there. There's a lot of jewelry companies online, Amazon, things like that, that know things need to say ASTM F136 titanium in order for that jewelry to sell. So they just put it on there no matter what kind of metal it is. They also know that there's just all these terms which are selling points, which are supposed to describe the jewelry, but to them they're just selling points and no one backs it up. So you're really gambling buying stuff online. The only one I know for sure is Body Art Forums. And with that website, I think they have the brands of the jewelry, and then they have different grades of jewelry, and it's just, you know more what you're buying. Otherwise, try to buy from piercers. It supports your local piercer. Back in the day, a lot of piercers kind of stopped doing it because we weren't making any money because everyone was buying everything online. Now a lot of professional piercers say you're not allowed to bring stuff in because, to be honest, most people just go to Walmart or Target or buy the cheapest thing on Amazon and say, hey, pierce me with this. And it's just going to cause problems. So quality jewelry is important. Buying from a piercer kind of ensures that. And then if you're buying online, you're rolling the dice. Hope that helps. Body Art Forms is the only one I know of, though. What time is it here? Give me 1 second here. Let's go to here. I got a wrong page up here. Got a wrong page up here. I'm not gonna get the sound off. All right. Cool. We got about 20 minutes left here. We're going to be doing the live stream for you guys. Let's go to the next question here. Okay, Tasha Brun. Sorry, I almost said Burn. Hi, Scott. I got my second earlobe piercing, but the barbell is thicker than my butterfly back earring. Will I be able to wear thinner earrings once it's healed? Absolutely. You can always put thinner jewelry in there, but the thing is the hole will probably close up to it, and put that original one might be a little bit tough, depending on the size difference. But yeah, you can always go smaller in the future. Yep, say she. I have a septum piercing, full healed, want it to be a clicker ring, but put back in a horseshoe. Can I flip it up again? I feel like I can get a grip on it, but I just can't seem to pop it open. Clickers get really, really tough. Sometimes what I like to do is like take like a Q-tip or a shish kebab skewer, like a wooden skewer, and you stick it on the inside between your nose and the jewelry. When you find the gap, that can kind of pop that hole open a lot easier. The wood or the cardboard isn't going to scratch the jewelry, but it does get really tight. You got to find that clicker where there's two seams. If you look close enough, you'll see where one's hinged and the other one's where it open. And that's what I said. You just put something on the inside and push, and you can kind of pop it out. And yeah, you can totally put a horseshoe back in there, the circular barbell. You should be able to flip it up. It shouldn't have changed the shape at all. All right. Sam43261. What are the steps to clean and make sure snake bites heal fast? Number 1, the healthier you are, the faster you're going to heal. Number 2, don't touch with dirty hands. Number 3, eat slower so you don't bite down on it or do damage. And the foods you might want to stay away from are hot, spicy foods, because if those get inside there, it's just going to upset it and cause way more swelling. Now, as far as cleaning goes, alcohol-free mouthwash on the inside and a sterile wound wash spray for the outside. And basically, you just got to spray directly on your piercings. Wipe off crusties once they get nice and soft with a piece of gauze or paper towel. No Q-tips. They leave cotton fibers. It turns into a bacteria trap. All right. And Joya Davida. Hi, Scott. I really wanted high nostril piercings, but I take medications 4 times a day via intranasal spray, and the solution is slightly acidic. Is there any way to safe doing this, or should I steer clean? Wow, that's a really interesting question. I would say you need to talk to your doctor about this. Let them know that if you want your high nostrils pierced, it's going to be an open wound for a minimum of a month, and it should seal up. I don't know what chemicals are in there if that would cause problems. Tell them you're trying to heal that tube of scar tissue and you're not fully aware of how to do it. I was trying to think of like you take like a tongue depressor or popsicle stick, something to kind of, so you don't hit it, but it's going to get on there. It's going to get on there and it probably will cause problems, but I have no idea what that medication is. And even if you told me, I still wouldn't know what it is or how it would affect. So talk to your doctor about it. That's the best thing I can say. Sometimes you can back off on the medication for a little while and say you're using just sterile saline instead. Who knows, maybe that can help it out. I really don't know. So, good luck. All right. And Monica Peterson, very cool. Thank you. Soggy Noodles. Oh, thank you for answering my question. I love your videos and how they stretch nostrils. Jewelry looks so nice. I love it too. I wish there was more of it, but it can be kind of painful. Holy cow, he's real. Keej. I am real. I think you're talking about me, right? I don't know. And Camille Castillo. Hi, Scott. Is there something like weak ears? A couple times I've heard that my ear with 10 piercings look a bit tilted. Is there too much weight? Yes. Everyone's ear shape is completely different. Some people have paper thin ears. Some people have really, really thick cartilage. Mine's weak but thick at the same time. So every person is different. If you're having problems with things folding over, you need to go to a titanium jewelry. A lot of people love wearing gold, but the gold is really dense and really, really heavy. So if it's folding your ear over, find some lighter weight jewelry. Sometimes you can even get like gold plated jewelry, like my nostril jewelry up here is gold plated, which can kind of minimize some of the weight on there. But the thing is that it's tougher to clean plated jewelry without taking the polish off the top. So, yeah, I would say there's a difference from person to person, ear to ear, and the jewelry you're wearing. Smaller jewelry and also titanium, because it's probably some of the lightest jewelry you can possibly wear. And Keisha Lauren, got the dreaded piercing bump on my doth, and now it's getting smaller daily without me doing anything to it except spraying for the saline. Is that normal? Yes. Awesome. Less is more. Like I tell everyone, like, the bump is there because it got irritated. If we over clean it, we're over irritated and the bump never goes away. So sometimes we need to back off and just keep the crusties off there and let our body do its thing. So congratulations. Yeah, that is totally normal. And sometimes if you want, you could use emu oil that helps calm it down, get it back to normal a little bit faster, but you're doing it right. Good job. And Sam43261, and can snake bites cause teeth damage? 100%. Any oral piercing can cause teeth damage, even if the jewelry's the right size and you've downsized and it's in the proper placement. If a bead came undone and you bit down on it, tooth damage. Now, when you initially get it pierced, we got to make sure that the disc isn't rubbing up against the gums or directly on the enamel. Once you downsize, it should completely pull it away from your teeth and your gums, and that should minimize the damage, but it's the biting down on the jewelry if that's the case. If it's placed properly and the jewelry never comes unthreaded or undone, no, it shouldn't cause damage at all. And Ursula's Odds and Sods. Is it true that tongue piercing should be closer to the tip of the tongue if you have a small mouth or strong gag reflex? No. Tongue piercings need to be done in a certain spot. Generally, I believe it's about a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch from the tip of the tongue back. Now, placement on tongue piercings can be tricky because if you go too far back, okay, for instance, when your tongue's in your mouth, naturally it kind of goes down your throat and out like this. But sometimes when we stick our tongue out, now it seems like it's longer, and if you pierce this far back, you see how it's kind of going through that angle. So you need to get to the point where you lift your tongue up and you see that little V, like there's almost like that wall. I think you guys can see it. And that's as far back as you can go because that's only going that far back from my tongue, but as you can see, my tongue's much longer. So I could get it further back, but when it's in my mouth, it'd have to be resting like a curved barbell would rest. And you have a straight in there, so it's gonna kind of distort the tongue and you're gonna have a lot of problems. So it needs to be back so far, but if you go too close to the tip of the tongue, you're gonna end up causing gum erosion where the barbell's rubbing up against your gums and your teeth and you're doing damage. So it's got to be back far enough, but not too far back. As far as the gag reflex, either you can get it pierced or you can't. It's having it towards the tip is not going to help. Becky C. Can't stick around for long, but I wanted to wish you all over there a good day, and you've been well there. Thank you. I've been considering getting a navel piercing, and I'm very excited. Navel piercings are fantastic. They're generally not too problematic unless your pants are rubbing up against it, and the jewelry options can be pretty epic and pretty fun. I hope they start making more of a comeback. They've never slowed down, or they've never stopped, but they've slowed down a little bit. And once lower rise pants come back in style, I bet we're going to see a ton of those things. So if you're like them, get it pierced now, so when that style comes back, it's healed and you can wear all the fun jewelry. So they can take a long time to heal. And 234. We're going to give it probably another 10 minutes here, and we'll get through as many of these as we can here. So Becky C. No, we just said Becky C. See ya. Bye. And Keej, I got my snake bites done about 2 weeks ago and debating it for a couple years. Finally encouraged by your videos. Thanks for the encouragement. It really didn't hurt that much. They're doing awesome. I love that. I love that I can encourage people. If you've been wanting to get it done, it's worth getting done. There's no time like the present. As long as it's done safe, consensually, and clean, it's awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad I was a part. And Lavina Nas, good morning from New Zealand. Awesome. I had the opportunity to go to New Zealand a long time ago, and I snoozed and I loosed, and I didn't get a chance to make it. I'd love to make it there someday. It looks so beautiful. Just wanted to jump in and say, love your content. Huge fan of piercings and have quite the collection of my own, 18 and counting. Right on. That's about where I'm standing right now. I think I have around 18 to 20-ish piercings. I've been pierced hundreds of times, but thanks for joining us today. Love having you here. And Keisha Lauren says, thanks. You're very welcome. Sam43261, thanks for answering my questions. My pleasure. I try to get to everyone, but as you guys know, I can be kind of wordy because I have a lot I need to get out. I don't want to hold back from any individual one. If I didn't get to your questions this time, try to hit again next week or the week after, and we'll try to get in a little earlier, and we'll be able to get your questions. Dystopia Utopia Autumn, I love that name. How long can you not work out for before getting a piercing? You know, it's kind of funny. It's one of my big jokes I always give out there. It's like, what do you want me to say? Do you want a week off? Then no working out for a week. But most piercings you can work out right away. Now, the only concerns with working out with any piercing is crusties getting pulled inside. So if you clean your piercing right before you do that, and there's a lot of movement, that's going to minimize crusties going pulled in, and you should be fine. Now, if you're doing stuff like working out, like doing yoga on group mats, you don't want to be rubbing your fresh nipple piercings or navel piercings up against a dirty mat. Most of the time, those workout equipment things aren't touching our piercings. So as long as that nasty barbell's not touching a navel, nipple, or whatever it might be, you're totally fine. So yeah, what do you want me to say? You need a week off? Because you can have it if you need it. I'm so terrible. And patient zero, I've had my nipples pierced 2 different times. Both times I've took them out. Now I do want them again because I miss them. Any risk for rejection or increased pain? It might be a smidgen more painful, but it depends on how long ago you pierced them, because needle technology keeps getting better and better, and they're sharper and sharper. Second thing is did they reject out before? Because if they rejected all the way out, scar tissue is weaker than the normal tissue, and they're more prone to rejecting. If they didn't reject out, you should be totally fine. Yeah, it's really not that big of a difference. If it was recent, as long as they've been out for a month or more, you should be able to get them pierced. I tell people it's like 3 to 5% more painful. It's a little bit more painful, but it's not enough to stop you. So you'll be fine. And Camila Castillo, thanks for answer. You're very welcome. Lighter jewelry does make a difference. It was a while ago, I had a bunch of oral piercings. I had 2 high Monroes, snake bites, and I had low breadths, and I had 2 tongue piercings, and everything was large, like 14 gauge or bigger, and everything was steel. And when I took it out, it was unbelievable how much weight that actually was. So changing the titanium jewelry, huge difference for you. And Mila Caustic, no you to what did I miss? Taylor, I just got the angel fangs done. You've been a lot of help with getting me to branch out and try new things and new piercings. I love hearing that. I've had them for a week now. I hope they're healing well. And fun piercings like this are going to get you out there. People are going to talk about those piercings, so people start talking to you. It makes you become a more open person, and confidence. Sometimes you kind of hide behind things, and you get these piercings, and it's almost like a thing of armor, and it's just can't get through to me. Piercings are amazing that way. Mila Caustic, I've had my septum not long ago. It wasn't that bad as I thought. It's so scary because any piercing we expect this much pain, and normally it happens down here. So you still feel it, but it's totally worth it. And okay, sorry, I didn't mean to know you. Okay, thank you. I'm not sure what that was all about. Dystopia Utopia Autumn, can you do water classes. Okay, I'm guessing swimming classes for all. Generally, most piercings are considered to be an open wound for a minimum of a month. If you still have a ton of crusties, if it's bleeding, water classes, I'm guessing like swimming lessons and like chlorine chemicals, lakes, rivers, or oceans, terrible for piercings. I've seen people get staph infections. The chemicals can cause serious irritation, prolong the healing process. So if it's something like a nipple piercing or a navel piercing, maybe even a neck piercing, like a nape piercing, you can use Tegaderm patches, which are basically waterproof band-aids. It looks like a big piece of cling wrap, saran wrap, whatever you want to call it, and that'll help protect it so the water doesn't get in there. Then you could go swimming or do your water classes right away. If you can't cover, if it's like your ear, you have to keep your head above water. If it's getting exposed, you could have some major problems. So it's a timing game. And Mila Kostic, I'm your biggest fan. I have a tattoo of you on my arm. Seriously? I would love to see that. Send it to the email. No way. No way. And where are we at? That's on the very bottom. Oh, I must have skipped some people. I'm so sorry. No, we're all caught up right to where we're at. If I missed any of your questions, I'm so sorry. But this is actually the perfect place to cut this off. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I love you all. If you have any other questions, hit me up next week. Next week I'm going to be doing it at the same time here. So definitely going to be doing more of these, more videos coming out tomorrow. Going to be piercing jewelry review from Amazon. It'll be really interesting. And like always, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you all in the next video.